Hey man, what are you doing?
Trying to draw these IPSC targets. I don't know. They got to be perfect though.
Why do they have to be perfect?
Because people on the internet are mean. Hey guys, welcome to Gear Tasting. As you can see, the art project behind me has taken me a long time to put together, and I'm very talented when it comes to artwork. Obviously, those are the best IPSC targets I'm sure you've ever seen. I will get to that later when we get to the questions over coffee segment. But first, I wanted to walk through a couple of things that I've received in for my 6.5 Creedmoor build that I've talked about. I think I brought it up on the last Gear Tasting, kind of got into it, showed the Night Force scope that I had received. But today I want to talk through the stock and a couple of things that I'll be doing with the stock as it gets built with accurate ordnance. So this is a Grayboe stock, and the company name is Grayboe, and it's kind of a newer company, but it's based on a company that's been around forever, which is Macmillan. So if you're familiar with rifle stocks, Macmillan is one of the top tier rifle stock manufacturers out there, and they have spun off a new company called Grayboe. I'm not quite sure the logistics of how that happened, but this company is making a fiberglass version of the A5 stock. So this stock here is based on Macmillan's traditional A5 stock, which many of you might have seen before, but you can see that it's kind of lacking a few features such as the adjustable cheek riser and things like that. And I believe the A5 has adjustable butt plates and stuff like that too. So it's kind of a little bit more stripped down than the A5 is. It's a much lower price point. The Macmillan A5 runs about $875, and the Grayboe, this is the Renegade stock, that's the stock you're seeing here. It runs about $319 right now, so you can see there's a significant cost savings when you go to the Renegade, but you're still kind of getting that traditional A5 shape, which I personally love a lot, and I really like the combo between an olive drab stock and black hardware. That's kind of what I'm shooting for on this rifle. So that's what you will see kind of getting put together, again, through accurate ordnance. So the weight savings is not really there when you're talking about, having a kind of a cut down stock. So the Macmillan A5 runs about 3 pounds, 10 ounces, and this Grayboe Renegade runs 3 pounds, 12.6 ounces, somewhere in there. We did weigh it without the bipod on there. So I wanted to attach the bipod just so it could kind of rest and I could show it better. But so a couple of the features of the Renegade stock are that it's kind of cut lower for the action in the barrel, so it sits lower in the stock, which is a good thing. I don't have a solution quite yet for like a cheek comb riser or anything like that. I may kind of do a DIY type thing with some closed cell foam and some pretty good 100-mile-an-hour tape, which I've talked about on Gear Tasting before. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for on that. It actually has 2 sling swivel studs in the front, and I can take off the bipod here and show you that. So it's got 2 of those in the front, and then it's got 1 in the back. But what I'm going to do whenever this gets to accurate ordnance, I'm going to talk to them about adding some flesh cups so I can put in a QD sling, basically. This is the sling I have from Rifles Only, and I want to still use it the way I kind of have it configured, which is a quick QD in the back, so that would plug into this with a flesh cup there. And then this is still a swing stud, swivel, whatever. It's a tongue twister. And I would still put that onto the back swing swivel stud that's in the back here, and the top one would be used for the bipod like I had it on earlier. So one of the things, I've got a couple notes here so I don't forget to mention anything too. It's pillared and fully beddable, so there shouldn't be any problems going with the action that I'm going with. I'm strongly considering a stiller action on this. That's kind of what I'm going to go with. I looked at a couple of different ones on the market, but that's kind of eventually where I went back to with it just because of the nature of the build. So what I'm trying to do is to get this as lightweight as possible. I'm building a 6.5 Creedmoor, which in itself is a fairly bulky gun, considering that I'm going with a 24-inch barrel. That's not saving any weight there, especially kind of running it with a suppressor like I'm planning to do whenever my Form 4 gets back. ATF's like 6 months behind right now, so I don't know how that's going to work. But at any rate, that's what I'm going for with this build. I am going lightweight with it, so that's my attempt at trying to do that is by using certain things like this stock where, I say that, but I'm not really saving any weight with this over the traditional A5, as you kind of know. But one of the other things about this, it's a varmint contour, so it's cut for a varmint contour barrel. It's also got they call this a DBM cutout at the bottom, and that's made for Badger bottom metal. So I've got some Badger components coming that I'm going to talk through in the future before all this stuff gets shipped off to Accurate Ordnance. So hopefully by next gear tasting I'll be able to show that stuff too. The back cutout, if you kind of know anything about rifle stocks for precision rifle, that can either be used to brace your supporting hand like this, or it can be used to bag the stock like this when you're elevating the rear of the stock when you're down prone shooting, which is where most of those kind of come into play. There is kind of some exciting features about the Badger bottom metal stuff that I'll share with you as I get that in, but I don't want to talk through it too much right now. I do want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything that I wanted to point out on this though. I think that's basically it. I'm really happy with the stock. I've always been in love with the Macmillan A5 contour stock, so that's what I'm gonna go with. And again, the Stiller Action. So let's get into my art project behind me. Guys, welcome to Questions Over Coffee. Today I'm drinking some Aspen coffee out of Oklahoma that Matt brought down. It's Aspen blend coffee from the Aspen Coffee Company. So, all right, my question today, and I'm only going to do one because it's a pretty elaborate discussion today, but Jay over email asked, can you discuss the benefits of different zero distances for the AR platform? So first off, I want to say that this is not my diagram. This comes from what I learned from Travis Haley about different zeros, where you'd find this information out yourself if you did these tests, but all this data comes from Travis Haley. There's actually a really good kind of a good review of this stuff in the Pantiao Make Ready Rifle Adaptive Carbine video from Pantiao. Sorry, I had to get all that out. But Travis has gone over this stuff. I took a class with Travis and he talked through the zero stuff, but there's also, all this is covered very well in that video too, if you're interested in checking that out from Pantiao. All right, so first of all, these are different zero ranges. This is with the AR again, this is AR-15 platform. These are different zero ranges from 25 all the way out to 300, and these are different zeros. So meaning you're at 25 getting a zero, you're at 50 getting a zero, 100, 200, 300. So first off, I want to talk through kind of what Travis mentioned as far as combat effective zones for these zeros, because that's the biggest thing that really comes into play with these. And as Travis points out, this is all up to you. There's no one zero that's better than the other one. This is just purely the data. So you take this as you want. You can take this on board. You can zero at any range you want, but these are the results that Travis went through on where his bullet was hitting based on these ranges. So 25 is a good zero. One thing though, it's prone to fundamental deviation. So meaning if your fundamentals aren't correct, your cone of deviation is definitely smaller at shorter distances, meaning I'm closer to the target, so it's a improper trigger squeeze or something like that is going to affect the bullet less at 25 yards than it will all the way over here at 300. So that's important to point out. So 25 yard zero, this line that I have drawn horizontally across all these beautiful IPSC targets is the center of the target. So that's why you see 25 written here, 50 here, 100 here, 200, 300. So I've got those marked at the center line, and I try to do that just so they'd be consistent. So you can see the zero, at 25 is in the center, but as you move out in distance, it's climbing and then it comes back down. So it kind of arcs like this. So you got 25, 50, 75, 100, climbing to 200 at the neck, and then back down to, I guess that's, kind of the upper chest there at 300, and then down into the torso at 400. And then 500 is all the way down at the knees. So you can see that this is really to illustrate where your holdovers have to be. So meaning if you have a combat effective zone, which all this is a condensed combat effective zone. If I were to draw a circle around this, of 15 inches. So at 15 inches, you would have a combat effective hit out to 400. So meaning that, this is going to kill the guy, this is going to kill the guy. It's combat effective, meaning you will take down whatever you're shooting at, whether that's an animal or a guy, I should say that. But it's you'll take them out at those distances, combat effective. You move out to 50, and now your 0 is in the middle at 50, you're climbing at 100, and then you're back down all the way to 500. So 100 climbs up, and then you're back down 200, 300, 400 right at the lower torso, and then 500 is all the way down to ankles. So just a quick illustration here, if I was going to shoot 400, I wouldn't necessarily have to hold over for this. But if I was going to shoot 500 at the knees, if you took that distance of 500 and you flipped it, you would probably have to hold above the head to hit somebody in the center at 500, if that makes sense. So as you move out back to 50 real quick, so this is a 9-inch combat effective zone out to 300. So if this was a circle here, that would be 9 inches of combat effectiveness out to 300. You include the 400, now you're at 24 inches of combat effective zone out to 400. And again, 400, you would probably have to hold somewhere in the face to hit in the center. And then 500 at 50 is at the knees, ankles. And then 100 is the one that is interesting to me because it's consistent holdovers. So meaning that there's no up and down like the first two were, and you'll kind of see the up and down at 200 and 300 as well. But what I like about the 100 is that it does have holdovers. So, you can see 16 inches is the combat effective zone all the way out to 300, which is a pretty large area given that. But your holdovers are always consistent, meaning you're always elevating with your holdovers. So 100 in the middle, 25 is up, 50 is down, 200 down, 300 down, so on and so forth. So you can see that at 25 you're starting out kind of above center line, but as you drop or as you go up in distance, your elevation is dropping, so then you have to hold over, if that makes sense. So again, 4-inch combat effective zone out to 200, 16-inch combat effective zone out to 300, then 400 is at the knees and 500 is at the feet. Then when you get to 200, you've got 200 in the center line there. Then you've got 25 drops below, 50 goes up, 100 goes up, and 300 goes down again. And then 400 is at the knees, 500 at the ankles. 2.5-inch combat effective zone, if I were to draw around just the 200 stuff, 10 inches out to 300, and then moving on to the 300. So this is the Marine Corps Zero. Travis walked through why they like the 300 Zero, and I'll leave it up to checking out more information on that to learn more about that stuff. But you can see it jumps up from 300's in the center, jumps up to 25, up to 100, up to 200, and then down again to 400, and then 500 is at the knees. So this gives you a 5-inch combat effective zone out to 300, which is really good. So you can see most of these encompass 300, if not 400. So 25 is a pretty damn good zero too, because you're including 400 in it too, and it's a 15-inch combat effective zone. But then you got the consistent holdovers with 100. You've got, again, a 5-inch combat effective zone, which is pretty much the largest combat effective zone for the size out of any of these ranges. 5 inches to 300 is better than 2.5 to 200, or 4 inches to 200, or 9 inches to 300. So you can see the benefits of the 300 Zero. So I know that's a lot of information to take in, but just remember that, as you decrease in distance when you're zeroing, that it's prone to that fundamental deviation. I mean, you can have some fundamental deviation at 52, and obviously it gets magnified as you increase. And that's a principle that ties back into precision rifle that I've talked about in the past, is that any of those small little manipulation mistakes on fundamentals, at 1,000 yards are magnified tremendously. So that's one thing that I've taken from precision rifle and long distance shooting, is that I really have to have my fundamentals down pat. So, and if I can remember the quote that Jacob said in the Rifles Only class, it was that, being a better precision rifle shooter is just doing the fundamentals faster, or getting the fundamentals correct faster. That's really what it is. So it all comes back to fundamentals for everything, and those are always important in any kind of shooting that you have. Hey guys, thanks for watching Gear Tasting. One other thing I wanted to bring up that I forgot to mention is that you should always try to confirm zeros at all these ranges if you can. And again the next day. So if you're shooting, you put up your gun, you come back, if you have the opportunity to confirm zero the next day before you make a important shot, it's always a great thing to do. So just a little reminder. So thanks for watching Gear Tasting. Remember to use the pound tag Gear Tasting on any of the social media networks, or even hit us up any chance you can at any network anyway, and we'll get your questions answered here on Gear Tasting. If you want to pick up one of these sweet coffee mugs that said Gear Tasting with the little ITS logo on the front, we have got those below in a link. And also, if you're liking what we're doing here on Gear Tasting, please consider becoming a crew leader and joining our membership. Allow us to give you back something in return. Thanks again.